There's $12 a month, which I suspect will make you sleep much sounder. Then you'll just pop out of bed rested, ready to start your day.
What he's saying is a renter's policy is basically insurance for your snooze button.
Plus most everything else you own.
Visit Geico.com to see how affordable renter's insurance can be.
PM Show Weekend Edition on CRN Digital Talk Radio. I'm Michael Horn. That, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Fred Dryer.
Thank you so much. Welcome back. Now, Mitt Romney I listened to his speech yesterday, his victory speech in Michigan, and with all the hubbub and all of the celebration and all the momentum he's now realized. He's talking about the things that I think in his closing speech, he's mentioning the things, the topics I think that are necessary in going forward. Here's Mitt, talking about leadership and courage.
We need leaders who will live with integrity, who have the courage to tell the truth, and have the experience to get our economy back on track. That's the kind of leader I aspire to be. That's the kind of leader I will be if I'm president of the United States.
Now, I agree with that. Okay. I do agree with it.
But I hear there's a but coming.
Well, here's what it is. Yes, and that's this. That narrative comes in and out with these people, especially with
not being consistent.
They lose the narrative. What happens is they start getting off on Newt. They start going off on Santorum.
Got to stay focused to their platform.
And what they forget is that we just won an election on 2 states. We just gained momentum again. And here's my closing speech that's now getting me ready for next week's Super Tuesday, where 10 states go to battle. Yeah. And so this is the type of thing that he has to stay focused on. He has to stay focused on leadership. He has to be courageous to tell the truth, And that's a very tough thing to say in a campaign, because the truth, as we all know, is very amorphous at some point in time. Here's what he has to say about jobs.
More jobs, less debt, and smaller government. We got to hear that day in and day out. More jobs, less debt, smaller government.
Okay, those are the 3 topics.
That's a good one.
Those are the 3 topics. More jobs, less debt. How is that? That's less regulations. That's doing it. What's under the canopy of those are the topics. What's under each canopy? More jobs. How do you do that? You get out of the way of the private sector. Get government out of the private sector with regulations. Less debt. What do you do here? You cut taxes. You inspire people to invest in America again, invest in themselves, and smaller government. He's literally got to start saying, I'm going to cut the Department of Energy. I'm going to cut the Department of Education.
The czars?
He's got to get rid of the czars. He's got to do all those things. And Newt articulated that beautifully.
He did. First day in office, he's dumping the czars.
So these are 2 things, 2 very important things that I think are correct, but he's got to stay on message. He cannot lose the narrative of this. Here's what he says about Obama's failed presidency.
Our campaign is about more than just replacing a president. It's about restoring America's promise from generation to generation. Americans have always known that the future would be brighter and better. Americans have always believed in a tomorrow full of possibility and prosperity. That's what it means to be the land of opportunity. In America, you know that if you work hard, you can build a better life. If you teach your kids the right kind of values and help them make the right choices in life, you know their future will be prosperous and secure. And that deep confidence of a better tomorrow is the basic promise of America. Today, that promise is being threatened by a faltering economy and a failed presidency.
See, there it is.
Our best days are ahead.
He is talking about, he's in the right room.
Right.
He's talking about the right things, and he's got my attention. I like it. I believe it. He's got to stay on point. If he doesn't stay on point, we're again we're falling apart again here. Okay, and the last soundbite here is here's what he says. He says time to get America back on the path toward prosperity, and then he goes into Obama.
This president, by the way, he likes to remind us that he inherited an economy that was in crisis. But he doesn't like to remind us that he also inherited a Democrat Congress. He had majorities in both the House and the Senate. He was free to pursue any policy he pleased. Did he fix the economy? No. You know, did he tackle the housing crisis? No. Did he get America back to work? No. No, instead he put us on a path toward debt and deficits and decline. It's time to get off that path and get back on the path of American prosperity.
That's the best I've heard Mitt. That is the best soundbite I've heard from Mitt.
That's right. And what he's saying there is, what's the path that we're on? Economic failure. That's Europe. This has to be branded in people. You have got to tell people. You have to spell it out.
We're doing the failed
people.
Policies of Europe, the same things.
What you're doing here is you're selling a failed business model that has failed everywhere in the world and is presently failing at this point in time by bringing Obama back.
You know, Obama this last week had mentioned that he saved the car industry. He didn't save the car industry. He saved the unions. A lot of people are not saying that. Nobody's making it. It's not the car industry. He saved the unions.
No,
those
that's right.
car industry jobs should have been fallen apart. The union should have dissolved. We should have been able to get everybody down to what wages they should be, and we would have had a much more prosperous car industry than we could ever hope for now. Instead, we're saddled with the same old union contracts and things. I'm sorry, union guys are going to hate what I'm saying, but it's the truth. We needed to reorganize.
Well, remember, all things are true. Unions are good. They help people,
yes,
and they can also put the burden on everybody else, and that's what they've done over the years. And so to sit here and say that we're going to get rid of unions, that's not what we're saying. But we are going to take a look at them.
You got to be reorganized. We got to look at them and make them.
You got to take a look at them, and you can't just buy them off like they did.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I mean, it's one of the things that I think we all are in agreement on. This is a great country. It's worth saving, and we've got to get to it, and we've got to get to it quick, and we've got to recognize who is best for this country.
Fred Dryer program on CRN 51 past the hour.
Folks.